Minister, so nice to see you. Happy New Year.
See you. How's things? Once in a while. Oh yeah, how's things? Yeah, you know. Great. Good to see Bruce Levee together.
In Toronto, and there's no greater pride when I hear the pipes and the drums, and I know at the Labor Day Parade or St. Patrick's Day in Toronto, that's our team. That's Team Cobourg. So thank you very much for being here. It means a lot. And I'm incredibly grateful for the Legion. And last but certainly not least, a profound thank you to my constituency office team who are here today. To Bonnie, Ali, Ben, Mike, put your hand up, please, so everybody knows. This is the team that fights for this community every day. Thank you to my colleagues who are here today at the municipal level. A few stories I wanted to tell, because it's been an honor representing this community at Queen's Park. And I wanted to talk, you often hear about money, you hear about investments in buildings and things. I wanted to take a moment to talk a bit about the stories of the people. Because buildings aren't buildings, they're brought to life by the people who call them home each and every day. So we're going to start with a little bit of a tour around our riding, and I wanted to first start with Marigold Hospice in Newcastle. That's something we've been fighting for with a $2 million investment that's helped them actually get shovels in ground on that hospice in Newcastle. But what's the story? The stories of Jill Richardson. She's not here. The stories of so many people who've brought that hospice to life. But Jill passed away this past year. And I'll never forget when I campaigned and Jill grabbed me and said, "I'm a Liberal, but I still hope you'll meet with me." And we did. And we developed a lifelong friendship. And Jill's looking down, proud that people will have compassionate, dignified end-of-life care with yet another hospice investment we're making in our community. If you move in to Port Hope, our Youth Wellness Hub, which we announced this year, helping youth in our community. That's one of the reasons I got involved. I played soccer with so many young men in our community who are leaving, seeking opportunity elsewhere. And I want to fight for a community where you can live, work, and raise a family right here in our community. Well, it starts with supporting youth. So the Youth Wellness Hub, which is going to integrate proper care so youth can get the support that they need, but also employment, jobs, skill sets needed to work in your own community. We saw Vlad. Let's talk about the story of Vlad, the youth who spoke about finding purpose and a future in his own community in Port Hope. So we did that announcement, and we did it for youth like Vlad. Or the Farmers Roundtable later that day that we had in Garden Hill. Over $12 million invested in 213 projects to support a viable agriculture community in our home, because we are an agriculture community. And so that's 213 projects. What are the stories? The stories of farmers who work hard each and every day to put food on our table, helping them maintain resilience, helping invest in machinery, modern equipment, so that they can increase their yield. Or the story of Mike Gibson, who we went to see later that day, and there's so many farmers who are here today. I hate to cherry pick on one story, but I saw what Mike did for the workers, for the bunkhouses, the work he's doing to grow his business. And I was awestruck with the sense of pride and what he did in his work and in our community. And that story is not unique because there are so many farmers who work hard in our community each and every day and do it with immense pride. Or here in Cobourg, the $25 million, the largest infrastructure investment we've made in Cobourg in modern history. $25 million. But again, that's just a number. What about the story? The story of that is of those who will call that infrastructure that's enabling the homes, those who will call those homes
a roof over their head so that they can live, work, and raise a family in their community. The Building Skills to Build Homes project, $650,000. Jeff, what's the story? Jeff, who had never had a career in the trades, Jeff was building the homes that Habitat for Humanity are building in Baltimore, thanks to the Skills Development Fund that the province has invested. But what was so powerful about that was the immense sense of dignity and pride and self-worth. His words, not mine. In getting a skill set to build one's own home. We don't teach youth enough of that in the high schools these days. We're bringing back shop class. But to see Jeff and the pride he had in building that home, an affordable home, that's what keeps me motivated. Sunny Life Wellness Center in Campbellford. Got the mayor right here. He's doing a fantastic job, he and council. And $7 million, that was one of the first meetings I had as MPP, and it was so exciting to see the Sunny Life Wellness Center break ground. The therapy pool for seniors aging in place. The home for the Trent Hills Thunder Junior C team. That's growing communities right here. And that's exciting because I'll tell you the story of the youth, the Trent Hills Thunder youth, who are getting active, supporting their own community. Youngsters who came up to me and said, you know, they broke a 50-plus game losing streak, and now they're sitting within striking distance of the playoffs. And those youth who said, we have a barn, a home, arena that we can be proud of, a community that's behind us, a coach and staff that are getting them involved in their community so that they know about the opportunities there. That's what I'm proud to do, working closely with the great municipality there to deliver on that rec center. We've also, the YMCA who are operating, it's so exciting to not see the instincts to grow the size of government, but rather to partner with the YMCA to operate that great space. So kudos to the team for doing it. And while we're at it in Campbellford, expanded primary health care. We all know the need for more doctors in our community. Well, I can tell you, you can't do it by cutting residency seats. This government has 3 new medical schools under construction today. At no point in Ontario's history have we had that. We've expanded residency seats. I met the primary health care team there, 800 new rostered patients. That team challenges me. They do not take it lightly. They brought me up, they asked me very tough questions, fight for PSWs, fight for nurse practitioners, and for the incredible work that they're doing there at the Trent Hills Family Health Team. 800 new patients being rostered. And I'll tell you the story about Dr. Ali, whom I met. Dr. Ali was internationally trained. In the old Ontario, Dr. Ali would never have a future in medicine. Well, today she does. Ontario's Practice Ready Assessments has had a doctor shadow her, assess her credentials. Now she's out here in an underserviced community as a doctor, practicing in what she was trained to do. For the nurses that I met there, the nurses, we know we receive great care from nurse practitioners, RPNs. The nurse I met there, who's a beneficiary of the Learn and Stay program. The province of Ontario will support you with your tuition if you commit to learning and to staying in rural, underserviced communities. That's the nurse I met, the story of that nurse. The new medical center in Norwood, the doctors I met there, Dr. Keogh, who's retiring, 4 new doctors. Dr. Ford, Dr. Hutchinson, nurse practitioner Walsh, who are there. Big shout out to that municipality. Mayor Wilfred and the team who brought that. They're doing a phenomenal job. And rostering new patients. The gathering place in Warkworth for seniors. The church, fully accessible spaces. I could tell you all day about Meyer Sportsplex, Norwood, the gathering place in Warkworth. This community is a more accessible community over the past number of years, and that's just one example. They're bringing in art shows, they're having dinners. Community is coming together, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to have supported it. The Memorial Center in Keene, that was tired. That was a lot older than I ever was. That place, the Millennium Center, is fitting. It hadn't been replaced in a millennium. It was old and run down. Well, today, brand new investments into that rec center. And I want to tell you the story of the young mom I met who said, I had to take my kids hours for hockey. Now, my youth can play, my children, right here in a brand new space. Or the young women playing pickleball there, staying active in their own community, thanks to that renovation. And the pasta with Piccini, you'll have to come out to one that we had at that rec center. It was a lot of fun. I'll close on 2 things. The community space in Brighton. I see the mayor here, County Warden Brian, thank you for being here, and the team in Brighton. The King Edward Park Arena, which was a bit tired and quiet when I was first elected, today it's a hub of activity with the small businesses that are there, the pickleball, the youth. I'll tell you a story about some of the youth that are skateboarding and enjoying that place, coming active and to life in their own community, thanks to the partnership. And as was said at the announcement of the pickleball courts, it was community-driven, community coming together. I think it was Diane is her name, I think, one of the ladies there, who grabbed me by the ear, literally, and all of us, who drove that project. And that's what it's all about, community. And I'll close by saying one thing. We live in an uncertain time without question today. Some of you have already said, we're not going to be the 51st state. I'm proud to be Canadian. I'm proud to be from rural Ontario. And I can think of no better illustration of that than Carrie and Diane Knight. Her daughter, Michelle Knight Mendez, died in Afghanistan. And I was there for the launch of the Globe. That has nothing to do with dollars we've put towards it, and I'm not going to mention government or anything there. That was just community coming together to honor Michelle, her sacrifice, her mom Diane, Carrie, who brings together people every day to clean up the Highway of Heroes. No accolades, she just does it. If you ever drive past in Wesleyville, Port Hope, and you see people cleaning up, it's people like Carrie who clean up our solemn stretch of highway. And why do I end on that? Because growing up, it was a sense of community. I remember the stores shutting down in Port Hope when the community would gather to honor the fallen who are here. I'm proud to be from rural Ontario. I think our best days are yet to come. I think that when we make investments to support youth to grow in their community, when we attract jobs, and I'm sure I can answer some questions in the Q&A on some of our job investments here, but when we live, work, and play in rural Ontario, there's no stopping us. And I wouldn't want to be from an Ontario that did anything but. That's our community. That's what happens when we come together as a community, and there's no better exemplification of that than the work along the Highway of Heroes. So thank you for being part of the community. Our achievements over the last year aren't me, aren't our government, aren't our team. It's the result of you and the stories that exemplify each and every one of those announcements. So thank you for challenging me. Thank you for working with us. It's going to be an exciting year, an uncertain year, but I'm confident that if we come together as a community, there's no stopping us, and it's going to be a great year ahead. Thank you for being here. I'm just finding a good MPP here.
My question is,
Yes.
follow the same path you're on, and that's where you're going to end up.
Thank you, Lloyd. That's very kind. Thank you. Thank you. How about our aging population? Here. So a few things, and I'm glad you asked that, because I can talk a bit about priorities in the year ahead. One of the things we see here in Legion Village, and an incredible exemplification, yes, and I know if I don't deliver, I know who I'm accountable to. Aging in place. So we've invested in brand new homes across our community, whether it's Golden Plow, whether it's Southbridge and Port Hope, Omnicare here. Aging in place. And I told last levee, but I think it bears repeating, the story of George and Ali Ryken. Front page of the Toronto Star. Care closer to home, just what the doctor ordered. That was community paramedicine, which we never had in our community until we worked together with the county to deliver with Northumberland paramedics who now visit people upstream to help them age in place. Or the investments we've made with tax-free home seniors renovations to help. Like the woman on Trefusis who made that accessible investment in her bathroom to age and stay in place. She didn't want to go to a home, she wanted to stay in her community. We've made those investments. Care closer to home also means making investments in primary care. The Rural Outreach Clinic in Cobourg, which never existed before we took office, shining a light on the needs of rural Ontario. And I would be remiss, because John's right here, but we're fighting for a new hospital in Campbellford. And I won't stop until we deliver on that commitment to that community of Campbellford. Yes, and that's community. And Jim, who's here, who donated. This is our community. A farmer who donated the land for the new hospital. Put your hand up.
So, you have been talking about healthcare and things like that. Where is the support for physician retiring, and those doctors that are retiring, they're going to need 2 to 3 new doctors to replace them. But where is the kind of support to help us recruit, because we're not necessarily a draw like some of the bigger communities, so we kind of struggle with that being that spotlight. So where's the support for that?
Yeah, it's a good question on physician recruitment. Well, I'll start by saying I've never been a fan of these signing bonuses like the NHL, to have a doctor come out, stay for 5 years, sign for the bonus, and then leave. And most of the doctors I know get in it because they want to care for people. So it starts with making sure we have a next generation in medicine, which starts there. We've made that investment. 3 new med schools, expanding residency seats that were cut by the previous government, making those investments. But also, I think there's also, and I'll be honest with all of you, there's a bit of a psyche shift in Ontario. I want primary care, and I recognize that that care can come from a nurse practitioner, can come from an RPN, getting the right level of care that you need at the right time. So that's something our government's been invested in. I mentioned the community paramedicine. I mentioned the nurse practitioner-led clinic in Trent Hills that we've expanded. But I will say, what's my priority, one of them for the year ahead? We have to do a better job, because it's our responsibility, not up to just municipalities, to recruit physicians. Because then you get a hodgepodge of different approaches, and we have to acknowledge that each community is different. So we have to have that unique element, but the government of Ontario has to do a better job, and we're going to continue fighting to do a better job at ensuring physicians and healthcare practitioners stay in rural settings. And I'll just close by saying the Learn and Stay program has been one of the biggest things I think we can do, which covers the tuition and ensures that those graduating, because it's not cheap to go to med school these days, but we help you out if you stay in an underserviced community. We also help internationally educated doctors stay through our practice-ready assessment that I mentioned. So those are some of the examples. We have more to do without question.
We're not considered a Learn and Stay.
We are now. It was just a recent change that was made. We are now. Yeah. And I accept responsibility for that. When I found out we weren't, we fought hard, but that's on me. We have been added under the Learn and Stay program. And then Don. Cobourg is the capital of seniors, she said. Yes, and without question we do, and we're looking at different models. I mean, that model I mentioned at Trent Hills is a fantastic model. We have the community health centers of Northumberland here, whom I recently met. They have salaried docs. I mean, the challenge we're also dealing with from a systemic standpoint is doctors now, the young doctors today, don't want to take on the administration of rent and the administration of that building. So one of the models that I mentioned has been done in Norwood is they have the municipality run that. But this is an example we can exemplify here at Cobourg, and the doctors just come and practice, and that's all they do. The administration is handled by the municipality. So these are the things we're working with local communities on, and I know without question Cobourg does need these investments, and they are, from our hospital to supporting our family team. Northumberland, our family health team here as well, more in Cobourg. I've been working with them. They've submitted an application to expand the family health team here as well. So these are some of the things I'll be fighting for in the year ahead. Don.
Just to let everybody know, my good friend here, Royal Canadian Legion District F Hospital Trust, which is supported by all 53 legions in our district. Collaboratively, we have donated, I don't have the number, but it's a vast amount of money to the Campbellford Hospital and their equipment, the last CT scan that went in. And this, let people know this is my last term on the hospital trust. So my friend, get me some paperwork.
Okay.
And I'll work it through
That's what I do.
as quick as I can.
Thanks, Don.
Because it's no
Thank
place
you, Don. Thank you to the
Need to get
Cobourg Legion. Thank you. And a big shout out as well to the Cobourg Legion. I will say, and I'm not federal, nor do I have any interest, but we have to do more for veterans in our communities as well. Canada has never been weaker on the world stage than it is today. And so some of the work we've done to help our veterans get into the trades, I think the Helmets to Hard Hats, a program that I've supported as Minister of Labour, that the Premier supported, we have to support support our veterans who don't get near enough support nationally. We have to meet our commitment to NATO as well as a country. So that's as much federal politics as I'll say today. But thank you to the Legion. The question was on rent controls and rent, and I think my answer to that and affordability writ large. Without question, we are hearing affordability at the door. We're also seeing productivity go this way, while neighbors to the south, it goes that way. You have to increase supply, bottom line. I was in Windsor the other day. I'm a big believer in increasing supply. Went across the border and saw homes for a fraction of the price that they are on the other side of the border. And yet it was on the Windsor side that we've seen the largest EV investment in Ontario's history at the time. Now the largest is in St. Thomas. But everyone who works at that plant, the thousands of people, will need a home. So you have to increase supply. And we have been working with municipalities on digitizing their permitting processes, trying to get it through faster at a local level, waive development charges for purpose-built rentals and affordable housing, investing in the Building Skills to Build Homes program that I mentioned is happening here in Baltimore. It's not just about building the homes, but building the skill sets for people to build those homes. We used to have shop class. We're bringing that back in high school today. I was just at St. Mary's in the last few weeks and saw the incredible trades programming that's gone on there. But we recognize rent and the cost of living writ large. But you've never seen the province raise your taxes, and you never will. We won't do it. We're lowering the cost of the pumps, trying to put more money back in your pockets, and increase supply so that we can bring more affordable housing into communities like Cobourg and across our riding. Go ahead, yeah. Hydro. Yes. Yes. Wesleyville. Yes, so actively right now, and stay tuned for an announcement this week. But, you know, one of the things we talk a bit on, I want to connect housing to that as well. When I was elected, the MTO patrol yards in Brookside, there had been no plan. And nothing had ever happened. It took time, but I've gotten both onto open markets so that we can intensify and get more housing, and I just wanted to mention that. Wesleyville's power as well. We can give rebates to people to try EVs all you want, but if you don't have the power to do it, you can't succeed. And we're a growing province, so you have to have power production. The cleanest form of power we can invest in today is nuclear, net zero. That's our only path there, is to invest in nuclear. We're a leader in small modular reactors, signing deals in Romania and Poland. Look at what's happening with Russia. The world needs more Canadian energy, and not as a state, but as a partner in Canada to our neighbors south of the border. You know, if you turned off power, 1.5 million Americans would have no power overnight in some of the northern states. But we can work together. And so Ontario has launched the largest, most ambitious energy plan, which involves hydroelectric, solar, wind, and nuclear. And stay tuned. That mothballed facility in Wesleyville, it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. You've never been in, you don't know what goes on there. They said lay down materials when I first got elected, and I thought, oh, this has got to be some fancy nuclear equipment. Lay down in Wesleyville, and it was a fancy word for desks. It's a glorified storage unit. And so we're going to have an exciting announcement. Minister Lecce is coming up to our riding next week, so stay tuned on that. But the economic impact of increased power production in our own community is into the billions. It will have a positive impact on our community and finally realize the potential for that mothballed building.
Can I say one thing? I worked in the nuclear industry. Can I say one thing?
Yes.
When it was originally constructed, it was to be half nuclear and half whatever other type of energy they chose. Fuel oil, gasoline,
Yes.
whatever. But that's what it was.
Thank you for your service in the energy sector, and it was, as the gentleman mentioned, both oil and or nuclear, but the bottom line is it didn't generate a single kilowatt hour of power. And you know, our slogan was get it done, and we're getting it done. Previous governments would study and talk it to death. They actually did nothing. They did nothing with Brookside. They did nothing with the MTO patrol yards. They did nothing with Wesleyville. We are doing something with that, so stay tuned. We are going to get the job done so that we start thinking about tomorrow's generation. And less wise man told me here in our community, David, there's a reason the front windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror. You've got to look at where you're going. And that's what we're going to be doing. So maybe last question, anyone? Thank you. Last question here.
From last year at this get-together,
Yeah.
what's been developed for apprenticeships across Ontario, meaning not just high schools and training, but how do you encourage companies, large and small, to take on apprentices?
Yes.
Because they seem to get the training, but they don't move on to the apprenticeship. They're lacking apprenticeships across.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking that. The question was about apprenticeships. How do we get more youth into the trades? Well, one of the things that I became acutely aware of when I took on the labor portfolio is that it's great to have big training centers and big training, but what about Tedford's, which I went and visited? Third generation wants to bring on the grandson. Well, first and foremost, I got rid of the archaic paper-based system. You had to call the government to get an apprenticeship. 1-800-GOVERNMENT. This is insanity. So as an employer, if you want to take on an apprentice, to get that, you had to call the government, you had to book online with a government official, you had to write your exams in a government building. I found out that the exams were written 6 months after the training. I don't know about any of you, but if I'd written an exam 6 months after, I don't know about you, there would have been a good chance I would have struggled at passing it 6 months later. So we've tackled all of that to allow you to write the exams where you receive the training, to ensure we have a job matching portal. Consider it like, those online dating apps. Haven't used them. But those online dating apps, that allows, and I know it's a crude analogy, but imagine you could match yourself. So if you're a young boy or girl and Henderson Construction wants to take on an apprenticeship, you can find out in your own backyard that it's there, or at Tedford's, or with any of the employers in our community. Tom Bain wants to take on an apprentice. You can make those matching, those job matches. And we've had incentives as well for level 1, 2, and 3 completion. We've launched incentives for small businesses. That was a result of a roundtable I had with Northumberland Builders and Construction Association to support smaller employers with keeping and retaining employees. And it also starts in high school. We've mandated a tech class. We've expanded in grade 11 and 12. I took an advanced university course that counted towards my degree. Why can't you do it for the trades? Today you can. So that'll count towards your certificate of qualification. We're making investments in high schools as well, supporting bringing back CNC machines, new equipment. We've supported now almost 300 schools with new CNC equipment since I first took the portfolio a year ago. So we're making these investments, supporting youth, so that we can be a country and community that actually builds things again, and that's not dependent on others to do it for us.
You brought the skilled trades fair last
Yes, and we mentioned last time we brought our Level Up. It's the largest ever skilled trades career fair to Cobourg. That happened, and that was really exciting for parents and youth alike. So thank you all for being here. I'll take some questions on a one-on-one, but thank you all for being here today. Enjoy some of the food, please, and drive safe. Thank you.